What's happening, everyone? This video is a complete combo guide for Lili. I want to go over all the combos she has, little mini stuff, and combo tools. Rather than just listing a video with notation and be done with it, I want to explain how combos work, so you can adjust them on the fly when you need to. If you understand what the tools and these moves do, rather than just memorizing lists, you'll become a lot more flexible with them. So if you forget something, you can have a backup combo ready to go rather than just drawing blanks in the battle, which is the last thing you want to do. Drop combos happen, but if you panic and you catch a random float, you'll know what to do much more readily if you understand combos rather than just learning them. So I want to go over all the tools, launchers, how they work, and different juggle pads and all that stuff. But first off, I want to just start with little mini combos that Lili has. Moves that don't get you a full screw attack and ball carry and all that stuff, but just simple, guaranteed mini combos. One you're going to see a lot is sidestep 3. That knockdown guarantees follow-ups all day. Forward 4 is nice and easy to use. Good chunk of damage, reliable. You can do things like forward 3 plus 4. Get a little bit more damage off of that too. There's tons of things you can do here. You can also do down forward 3 plus 4. Use this round off kick, which will guarantee to hit them and leave you in a good Oki position too. So there's tons of stuff you can do. Sidestep 3 gets you that guaranteed knockdown, as well as the new counter hit state on full crouch, down forward 1. This move was a safe knockdown mid, which is already really good, but now it's counter hit gets you the same property. Very, very good stuff. Look how much damage that is right away. That's almost 50 damage just for one single little counter hit. So remember that at all times. When you're just out there moving around doing the dance, you catch a sidestep 3. Boom. Remember that mini combo. The Root of Evil. Forward, forward 4. You can hold back to turn back turn when this move is finished. And if you do so and get a counter hit, back turned 1-4 is guaranteed. This move, when it counter hits and you turn around, is +9. So since this back turn string is an 8-frame string, that's guaranteed. You can hear the counter hit sound. You can see their opponent react. So as long as you held backwards, the 1-4 is guaranteed on counter hit. A little less practical, but it does exist, is counter hit 2-3. That second hit causes a little knockdown there. You get a down 3 guaranteed. But I think what's better here is when you get the knockdown, you can get a lot of interesting Oki and pressure when they get up. If they get up and move, a lot of stuff hits them. If they just stay on the ground, down 3 is guaranteed anyway. Identical situation arises from the new version of Up Back 1. This no longer has a counter hit property, but on any normal hit, you get this knockdown right in their face. Down 3 is guaranteed. They cannot avoid that or roll or anything to it. But if they try to get up, lots of stuff also hits them, which is definitely worth keeping them on their toes. If they try to just get up immediately, you can get nice, dangerous stuff. Smack them back with this, and if they stay there, down 3. So those are kind of cool little things to remember if they do happen. Up Back 1 is not practical yet, but it does now serve a purpose that other moves don't. This is like a 15, 16 frame mid that's safe, gets you a knockdown with nice Oki from it. So that is kind of cool. It's just still a short move with no tracking. So it's better than it used to be, but if you happen to throw this out and it lands, be ready for that little mini combo, if nothing else. Slightly better, however, is your counter hit forward 1 plus 2. This move at 14 frames and a safe mid is really good. We talk about in the main guide how when this hits and it forces your opponent to crouch, this is a really good pressure situation. On counter hit, you get guaranteed damage as well from the knockdown, and of course, if you want, Oki on their wake up. Lots of stuff you can do here. For a 14 frame mid that's safe, again, short and stubby, no tracking, but you're not taking any risk to do it necessarily. Counter hit forward 1 plus 2 into Root of All Evils, guaranteed. From back turned, down 3 plus 4, this big sweep, you always get down 3-4 guaranteed. Since down 3 plus 4 leaves Lili back turned, she still has access to the other low string, down 3-4. So one of these guarantees the other. Down 3 plus 4, down 3-4. If Lili happens to be a little bit off to her left, however, she can pick this up into a whole combo. It's maybe kind of tough to realize you're doing it on the fly, but it is possible. Just do a down 4 and then use that to turn around into your combo pickup from there. So that is kind of a pseudo launcher if Lili's off to her side. I do not think it works at all if you're on the right. So he misses. It's only when you're over here that that little down 4 picks up and allows the combo. Otherwise, mini combo is always there. That always works. The last one to mention is very odd, but it does exist. Up forward 4 now, you can stop that hit and turn backwards. And if you do, you get a decent little frame advantage when you land. But it turns out if you land at just the tip, you can be as much as +9. And what happens if you're backwards and you have +9? 1-4 is guaranteed. So this doesn't require a counter hit or anything. It always works if you get the range just right, like that. It's really, really hard to tell in a match, because if you're just the tiniest bit too close, you're only going to be +7 and the moves will not land. So now let's move on to full combos. And what constitutes a full combo is basically getting launched in the air or bounced off the ground, juggled for a little bit, and then use your tailspin to keep the combo going, and then you finish it up at the end. Potentially you kick them towards the wall and you can hit them at the wall as well. These are combos that have the full path. Everything you can get is in there. So from launcher to screw attack to wall carry. We'll cover all of that now, but I want to cover it in pieces. Learn your list of launchers. These are all the moves that cause a bounce, launcher, stun, whatever. And then what moves you're going to see in combos and how to use them correctly. So let's start off with just normal hit launchers. No counter hit, no special properties. You get hit, it's a launch. First off is down forward 2 and up forward 3. These are pretty indispensable. Most characters have these tools for the most part. Do note Lili's down forward 2 is only 16 frames and not 15, but it does a teeny bit more damage. Combos are the same, so if you know you have the situation, this one is preferred, but not by a lot. Down forward 3+4, this round off flip. This is a natural launcher. Lots of ways to combo off of this because it leaves her back turn. There's tons of choices. Straight down 3+4 is Matterhorn Ascension. This is a launcher to be sure, but it's one that you basically don't ever want to use. It's like -27 or something on block. People are going to just destroy you for this, but it is very evasive. You can see how low to the ground she goes. She goes underneath tons of stuff. And even toward the end, when she's on one hand, there's several frames there where she's airborne and she goes over lows. So this can actually rob a lot of people, right? They can be attacking you and this will just blow up right through it sometimes. But it's such an unreliable thing to go for. You will get punished hard for doing it. It also exists at the end of up forward 3+4, like that. Down back 4 is the same thing. Edelweiss is one of the worst snake edges in the game. Super duper slow. The only time you're ever going to hit somebody with this is if they happen to like commit to a move that Lili goes underneath. Otherwise, you're not going to get away with this. But it's there, so it's worth mentioning. It's in the list. Next up, couple acrobatic flip launchers. Lili's up 3 has several ways to do it too. You can just do up 3 by itself with nothing else and still get a combo from there. You can do up 3-3, which follows up with a second hit and still gets the combo. Slightly different path and all of that. So either way works, you'll get a combo on normal hit. Up 3+4, she jumps in the air, and if she lands on your shoulders at just the right distance, like you can miss entirely, you can clip them like that, but if you land in close, you get a combo for your effort. Little tricky combo because they're backwards and upside down and all that, but it is safe on block, and it's kind of a cool thing if you get just the right opportunity to use it. If they're running up and they land right under you, it can actually work pretty well. Forward 2. Lili was blessed with one of the only armored launchers in the game. Most power crushes just lead to a knockdown and some damage, and all the mids are slightly punishable because of that. Well, Lili's gets her a whole combo, and consequently is launch punishable itself. So there's only a handful of characters that have these. Her, Miguel, Negan, Zafina, I want to say. Not a lot. Forward 3. This is new to Season 4 from old games, but has been brought back. You can now get a direct combo off of this move on normal hit. And you can also continue this move into Do Glide and get combos that way, but it can be a little tricky. You got to learn how to do it, which we'll go over later on. So forward 3 on normal hit is a launcher, but it's -12 if you stop and do nothing. And if you continue into Do Glide and sidestep cancel, you can stay safe. So you got to learn how to differentiate between those two. Back turn stance. We got 2 launchers here. We got 1+2. So you can pick up a little duck jab into a combo. This is a practically safe mid launcher. And she has up forward 4 from back turn, which is definitely not safe, but a pretty practical launcher on its own. It's very, very fast. It's a hop kick that beats lows. This is a pretty good option to have all around. And the last 2 natural hit launchers to consider are from crouch. Her while standing 2 is a much higher arc than the down forward 2, even though it looks like it's the exact same move. This is actually a different launch trajectory, so you can get a bigger combo off her while standing 2. But again, 16 frames instead of 15. While standing 3 is also a natural launcher, a little bit slower. You're not going to end up using this too much. While standing 2 is there and ready to go, but it does exist. So those are all the moves that give you a full combo path on normal hit. So let's take a look at counter hit. So she has a few that do a pretty good job and some that are totally useless. Let's first take a look at moves that cause an automatic screw attack, such as forward 3. When that lands as a counter hit, automatic screw attack. Nothing you can do. Down back 3 is the same thing, as is back turned 2. When you land that counter hit, they get into screw attack right away. So you got to change up your combo a little bit. Some other counter hits she gets from down forward 3. This is a really good move to use in your pressure game because it's plus, forces the crouch and everything. And if they do challenge it, you can get a combo from it. Very good move. Now added to the list is forward 4. This move now becomes a counter hit launcher from downtown. Only problem is no tracking. This will get sidestepped easily, but this is such a good keep off me tool that getting a counter hit launcher from it now is just absolutely wonderful. It's not the best move in the world. It's relatively fast. It's 17 frames, I think, which is decent. Makes it one of her faster counter hit launchers. Obviously, there's characters with like 11 frame magic 4s. Lili does not have that, but this is still a pretty good keep out tool from a nice range. So remember this one. Forward 4 on counter hit is really, really good. Her do glide 1-2. If they get counter hit by the second hit alone, you get the same crumple stun. You get a launcher from that. But not if the first 2 hit, it's not the same thing. You have to get the second hit by itself, which is good because of her ability to cancel. She can cancel that second hit, which invites people to try to blow them up. And if she doesn't actually cancel and lets it rip, counter hit launcher. Kind of hard to set up, but it is there. It does happen from time to time if you catch someone being greedy. Sidestep 1+2. Weird little crumple stun. If you're going to sidestep somebody and still get a counter hit, that's a little situational, but it's there. If you happen to just do a quick sidestep in that and blow up a string, it can work. It's definitely possible. Some less practical counter hits, down back 3+4. Most people are going to block this. It's relatively slow. Most people will see it, block it on reaction, and you're in trouble. But it can go under jabs. It can blow up an attack if they're already in the middle of it. It's possible. You're not going to have an easy time like trying to anticipate jabs and do this, but it can happen randomly sometimes. If you do this at a good spot, you might just catch them approaching you and stuff them in their feet real quick. The same is true for full crouch down forward 3. This is basically the same idea. It's a high crushing low into the feet that on counter hit gets you a combo. If you happen to blow up a high attempt from them, you can get a combo from it. It exists. This is much, much better now. In the last patch, they made it so this actually goes under jabs. In many situations, this will high crush an immediate jab where it didn't before. If you do it like this, for example, it used to lose the jabs, and now it does not. So if they just did like a 1-1-2 string in the middle of this, they'll get counter hit launched for it. So that's kind of a big improvement. It's not great, but it's much, much better than it was. And lastly, the one that you're just never going to hit people with unless they're getting super greedy or just make a mistake is while standing 1-2-4. That third hit alone is the counter hit. What's there for is if you do while standing 2 and screw it up, they're ready to duck that second hit. They can duck that second hit and get ready to hop kick you afterward. The goal here is if they did something slower than a hop kick, that might hit them before they get off the ground. Tough situation, but if it does work out right, if they try to punish this, you might catch a counter hit right there. But that's about it. There's no other way to really use that. So counter hit wise, forward 3 is decent for just being a single hit because it's homing, but it's got terrible range. Forward 4 is excellent. Solves that range problem, but sacrifices tracking. And down forward 3, you're going to use in your pressure. That's pretty much it. Those are the only counter hits you're really ever going to get from this character. She doesn't do that a lot. They're not fast, but they do have some decent range and some decent utility. This character is based on utility more than she is on speed, which I think shows up in a lot of things. So that's the bulk of her counter hits. Actually, that's all of her counter hits that I'm aware of. Some pretty good, some completely useless, but that's par for the course with everybody. So let's look at combo tools, the moves that go into building your entire combo from beginning to end. I want to just talk about it in kind of like sections. The moves, like once you get them in the air, once you see you have your launch, what are the first things that you do? And these are usually dependent on the launcher you hit them with. Most of the time, their angle or their bounce or whatever requires you to use certain moves. So I want to go over those, and then the screw attack that extends your combo is usually dependent on, you know, how many hits you have or distances and stuff like that. And then your combo enders finish everything. So there's basically 3 phases, right? The launch, the juggle, then the screw attack that ends the juggle, and then you can end it whatever you need to at the time. So as far as basic combo tools, the first things you're going to do, forward 2-3 shows up a lot. Does a nice chunk of damage, has good wall carry in the combos that it's used. It just, again, it depends on which ones it comes out of. You can do it off of moves like that. Forward 2-3 shows up a lot. Sometimes not even as the first hit. You can even get another hit in before doing moves like that. Again, depending on the launcher, and we'll cover all of these in detail later. You'll see every combo possibility you have with these. But I just want you to learn how they work. If you have an airborne combo, forward 2-3 works pretty well. Next up would be down forward 2. This is really good all around in combo stuff, because it would be good for catching random floats. If someone is like an Eddie player or Ling or something like that, and they're on the ground at your feet a lot, this can tend to float them in weird situations. And once they're up in the air, then you get a combo from that point. So down forward 2 is very versatile at doing that. And you'll see a basic combo structure that I'll have. Once they're in the air, you can do that. And then something like 4-1. That's a pretty simple combo path. Usually a little bit easier to do than the forward 2-3 stuff, because you can see forward 2-3 punch them way in the air, so you got to deal with that distance. It's not the easiest combo path, but I think this is. Down forward 2 and then 4-1 is your combo opener. That's the easiest one. So I think the next tool that really is worth mentioning is Narcissus. The forward 3 and its ability to go forward into do glide. You'll see that right here. You'll see that off forward 2-3 because of the distance. She punches you into the air, and you can do Narcissus and then continue your combo there, because forward 3 covers excellent range and hits pretty low to the ground. So those are your basic combo openers. Little variations here and there. Down forward 2, sometimes you can stick it in. 4-1 is good for straight to the ground combos. Forward 2-3 is good for high in the air combos. So screw attacks. Couple of different ones you're going to see. But again, it depends on the combo that you're used to and which one works. Down 1-2-4 is really only required from this combo. The full crouch slide, you have to use down 1-2-4 there, as far as I'm aware. Down 1-2-4 to pick that up. No other combo requires this string. However, on a lot of like crumple stun combos, this actually works pretty universal. You can do this off a lot of things. Down 1-2-4 is actually very good in some cases, but you're not going to need it once you learn everything else. It's just worth mentioning as a go-to. If you forget exactly what the combo is off of this, down 1-2-4 is a good bet. Since forward 2-3 is generally preferred because it's the higher damage, and we talked about how Narcissus is a good way to pick that up, the screw attack from that is just do glide 3+4. You do forward 3, and you hold forward, it goes automatically into do glide, and then 3+4. That gets you your screw attack. This has been a bread and butter combo for a long time. Being able to just do that works super duper well. So you're going to see that a lot. Narcissus into do glide 3+4 is a very, very common screw attack. New in season 4 now, there's a slightly different way to do this. You can now use the down forward 3+4 a lot more reliably like you could in Tag 2. You used to do this in Tag 2 all the time in combos. Now it just hasn't been as good. Like, that would been kind of a weak option. They gave her something new. So now you can do this back turned and then 1-4. That gets you the damage back you were missing previously. So a lot of combos that'll punch you into the air with this, you can now do round off and then 1-4 as your screw attack. This is going to be used in your higher damage B&B combos, but doesn't always work because it requires pretty good height off the ground. And lastly, the most staple version of it is down 2-2-3. This would be the easy version that pairs with your 4-1 opener. Just like that. Can't get any easier than that. Those are the easiest combos, and sometimes they're the best. If you don't have the trajectory for this forward 2-3 stuff, that would be the best. This would be what you go for, and it's super duper easy. So those are your screw attacks. Narcissus into 3+4, down 2-2-3, and then your round off 1-4. That's all you need. So those are your launchers, your combo juggles, and how you screw attack. Once you've gotten the screw attack, 99% of the time, you're going to just do Narcissus again into do glide 1-2. That's it. That's most of them. Forward, forward 3, hold your forward, and then just do 1-2. That's most of your combos are covered by that. Tends to cover the distance pretty well. Sufficient enough wall carry to just do that. The next best version of it is to use heliotrope in the same way. You do back to 1 and hold forward into do glide. The only problem with this is it can get me a little bit tricky, especially on the player 1 side. Because if you notice, if I keep hitting her with it, how off axis I'm getting. This move takes, Lili takes this little like side step to her left, I guess it is. And when you get to the end of a combo, you'll do this part and the last 2 hits will whiff. It can be a little bit tricky. So you can only do this if you have 6 hits or fewer, and it can be kind of hard. Forward, forward 3 into do glide ender is perfect. But if you have like 1 hit left over, you can do the back to 1 version of it and squeeze a little bit more damage up, but it's harder to do. Another cool way to end combos is with this round off. Because this will break floors if you haven't done so yet, you can drop this right on top of them, and if they're kind of close, you still have some Oki options. You can flip at them again, you know, keep chasing them that way. But it's mostly for the variation in ways you can finish it off. You can sometimes end combos with that and just get wall carry that way. You can end combos with this and get some more damage, or you can just stop in front of them and try to Oki them that way. Another interesting use is the wall carry, is if this is your last hit, and you can flip on them, and that gets you the rest of the way to the wall, and you can do this, for example. Really good stuff there. So down forward 3+4 is kind of like a utility combo ender. Depending on if you can do a floor break or wall carry or whatever, this can get you some extra cool stuff instead of just the basics. So those are your combo tools. That's how combos work for this character. Once you get familiar with them and what order they go in, it all starts to come out pretty naturally. Rather than you just learning a sequence, you learn which ones go with which. Like, okay, I know this one. When I'm fishing for this move, I can do forward 2-3. And then forward 2-3, you know automatically every time you do that in a combo, you can do Narcissus to that, right? That's what you're going to come with automatically. So I'm going to show you what might not necessarily be the max damage combos, because there's always a way to squeeze more with some ultra execution. But what I'll show you are pretty much the most optimized combos that are easy enough to do. They should work on every character in the game, minus some weird bear stuff here and there. They should be pretty universal. Easy enough to do that once you practice some of the techniques, they're not going to be too much of a problem for you. And sometimes you'll get a little bit of extra stuff. Rather than just like the basic 4-1, you know, over and over again, you can add a little spice. So I'm going to show you what spice goes where on top of the building blocks. So once you learn how combos work, you can add enough spice just to get the taste how you want it that way. So now let's take a look at all the combos in effect. I want to go over them in kind of sections based on ones that have similar combo paths or similar uses and stuff like that. So to start off, your hop kick and your down forward 2 are going to come in handy a lot. And so up forward 3 and down forward 2, as well as down back 4, which you're never going to hit people with, and counter hit while standing 1-2, 4. These all share a similar combo path. You can do this off of all 4 of them. Keep in mind, those last 2 don't exist. You're never going to hit anything with them. You can do this combo, and they have 2 more of their own later on. But suffice it to say, those 2 combos, if they appear, as well as your basic bread and butter hop kick combo, would look like this. Simple as can be. Down forward 2 pickup, string into screw attack, Narcissus for the ender. Again, in slow motion, you can see down forward 2 is the first hit. 4-1 is nice and easy to pick up. Down 2-2-3, also very easy. Even though it looks like they're far away, it's not bad. Then it's a screw attack. You do forward, forward 3, hold it, do glide 1-2. This combo basically takes the other main path that we talked about, which is forward 2-3 to get him in the air, and then the round off and a back turn screw attack. Same ender, a little bit more damage this way. So again, in slow motion, down forward 2 is the first hit. Forward 2, 3, punch them high enough in the air that round off, down forward 3 plus 4 connects. Then your back turn screw attack has nice damage built into it now. And the same ender, Narcissus into do glide. Little bit tricky at first, but not that bad. Pretty small execution for some more damage. So as mentioned, these other two, down back 4 and this counter hit, you could use that previously mentioned combo on both of these if you want. They'll work just fine. But there is a better option you can do, which starts with full crouch down forward 1. This is rare that you see this because it requires a certain kind of little bounce and you need to be close, but this is one of those situations. So the first combo looks like this. You guessed it. Start off with that hit and then the simplest possible thing. 4-1, down 2-2-3. As simple as you need to be, works great. 75 damage just for that. It takes some getting used to doing the full crouch in time and then getting the down forward 1 before they drop, but it's really not that bad. You can just kind of hold it in and press the button and you're good. This next combo switches paths again. You use the forward 2-3 to punt them in the air, but this time you had to go to Narcissus into the 3 plus 4 screw attack. The round off flip will not work here. But after the screw attack, same thing. Narcissus do glide. It's easy as can be. He's got to get used to covering that range. With some practice, it doesn't take too much effort at all. So the next group of launchers have a little bit higher trajectory than normal. This would be your While Standing 2 and the old Matterhorn. Their combos are a little bit different. While Standing 2, even though it looks like down forward 2, does lift them higher in the air. You can do things like that flip, which you normally couldn't do, or you could do your delayed hop kick, which wouldn't fit under any other launchers. So this does add up to a little bit more damage, probably 5 or 6 more damage than the normal version of it. So I've listed you 3 combos with While Standing 2 to take a look at. So the first one opens with up 3-3 because it has a nice chunk of damage and you have the height to catch it. So up 3-3, you hold forward, goes into do glide, but then she cancels that into back 2-1 and holds forward to go into do glide again and does the screw attack that way. So when you see it in slow motion, this is actually very technical. What she's doing is 2 sidestep cancels. Up 3-3 into do glide, then she taps up to cancel. Back 2-1 into do glide, and then screw attack. And then the ender is the same Narcissus into do glide 1-2. So let's take a look at how this sidestep cancel works. You see, as I do up 3-3 and hold forward, Lili goes into do glide, right? She just slides forward after it makes contact. Goes into do glide. But once you're in do glide, you can just press up to cancel it into sidestep. The do glide will stop and Lili immediately sidesteps. So if I just hold forward after the move, and then tap up, looks like that. As soon as I see the do glide, tap up. Do glide, tap up. That's all that I'm really doing to cancel that. So once you've canceled the do glide into sidestep, you can basically do whatever you want from a sidestep, right? You have access to all of your moves for the most part out of sidestep, which includes back 2-1 that we're using in this case. So all that's really happening is just a correct tap up to cancel and then do the next move immediately. It's kind of harder to follow in the notation sometimes, but you can see where I'm holding forward after the last hit of up 3-3 to go into the do glide. I just tap up 1 time, which cancels that into a sidestep, and the very next thing you see is back 2-1, and then I hold forward to go into that do glide. That's it. That's all there really is to it. It can be tricky to learn, and eventually it just becomes muscle memory. You don't have to watch for the do glide. You can just kind of do glide and do it. Like, you'll learn how to do it a couple of times, you know, throughout other combos. As soon as you tap up, you can cancel it and do whatever you want from there. It's kind of a pretty important skill, but it's not paramount, right? You want to learn how to do it because you get good combos from it, but you don't need it if you find it too difficult. I think eventually, though, you'll get used to it. It's not that big a deal. It's just a matter of learning when that works. So there's a couple things you can do, like in training mode, to figure it out. I'm just going to use back 1 here for simplicity's sake. If you do back 1 and hold forward in a do glide, right? Let's say you want to do this and you cancel into a 2. Like that. You want to sidestep and cancel into 2 jab. If you get this, that was do glide 2, right? That was the homing move out of do glide 2. That means you were still in do glide when you pressed 2. You failed to get the up in order to cancel it. So that can happen sometimes if you press it too fast. If you aren't actually in the do glide state yet. Like if you press up before she actually enters the do glide, that can happen. I mean, like I said, you'll eventually learn the timing of exactly when it is you can press it, and you can speed it up until you get there. Like you can wait really long and then do it, or you can do it instantly like that. So once you learn that little bit of window, I think it starts to get much easier. It's like, oh, I can actually do that pretty quick. And the instant you tap up, just do whatever you're going to do afterward. Immediately do the next move. You don't have to wait for anything to cancel or whatever at that point. Once you've entered that sidestep state, you can do whatever you want instantly. So that's all that's really happening there, is you're doing do glide and then canceling it into sidestep, which is just hitting the brakes. And then you do whatever move you want to do next, which in this case is back 2-1. And like I said, you could do that several times. You could cancel the back 2-1s do glide into that if you want, but there's a limit to it. And obviously you're only going to get 2-3 damage more at the most. So that's why I say this skill isn't super duper important, but it is pretty nice to learn how to do it one time to get these combos in a decent range, right? You're going to average 65, 70 damage for every combo once you learn how to do this. So it's pretty important, but it's not life or death. So this combo does your delayed hop kick, and then it does back 1 into just standing 2. And then the 2-2-3 screw attack and Narcissus Ender. So watch it again in slow motion. This is the exact same cancel. The delayed hop kick, she does back 1 and holds forward, which puts her into do glide. Then you tap up to cancel the do glide, and then you just press 2 jab. That's it, just press the 2 jab there. And then from that point down 2-2-3 and all the rest of it. So that's all that cancel is just hold forward and tap up at the right moment. That's the first one I learned how to do, and it just feels perfectly normal to me at this point. I do that combo every time, no issues. So the third combo presented just uses the old forward 2-3, punt him in the air, and then Narcissus to 3+4 screw attack and Narcissus Ender. This is much more conventional, same damage as the last one. I just learned how to do the last one first rather than doing these. Because these can be tricky too. Up in the air, when the opponent is up in the air from the forward 2-3, double tapping forward 3 can be a little bit tough sometimes. If you have a smooshy D-pad, it can be a little hard. If you're a little bit early doing it, you get stuff like that. It takes some timing to practice too. You kind of got to watch the cue for her leg to return to the ground. Once you see her leg come back down, then you can double tap 4-4-3 real fast. And if you take too long, you miss. If you do it too early, you get the wrong move. So that's a little bit tight too. It's just all timing, not technical. The back 1 cancel stuff is both. It's tight timing and it's very complex how to do it. So move on to the other high launcher we mentioned, Matterhorn. Down 3+4, the same thing. Even though she's 5 miles into the air, there's not a whole lot more you can do here fancy-wise. Your delayed hop kick is still pretty much the best thing. That gets you more damage than anything else that would be harder to do. So delayed hop kick is pretty much what I stick with. There are other possibilities if you want to use like that rare screw attack. That could be a thing. I don't know. It's not really worth messing with it for me because the same combo, you know, your delayed hop kick and the normal stuff works just fine. So in this first, when you see delayed hop kick, the old down forward 2, but instead of 4-1, we just do a 2 jab to save the hits. Same 2-2-3 screw attack, blah, blah, blah. Basic combo that we've seen every time. He's got to trade out one of the hits. This second combo, same thing, delayed hop kick and the forward 2-3 we've been doing, but now you've got the height, so you can do the round off into back turn 1-4 as your screw attack, and then end it with Narcissus into do glide. That 80 damage is a lot. It's really, really punishable on block, but man, if you can blow somebody up by crushing through their jab with a Matterhorn combo, and you get that 80 damage off of them, you just feel like a genius. There's not too many better feelings in the game than successfully hitting that combo. Keep in mind, you're stretched to the limit with your distance. In this one, you really got to cover that distance at the end to get that last little hit to reach. You got to work on that timing a little bit, but anything in this game is timing, right? You're going to have to get used to how it feels no matter what. All right, so next up are a category of acrobatic launchers. These are moves that cause flips in the air and have unusual paths behind them. The first one is while standing 3, and she can do this move and then press 3-4, I think it is? 4, just press 4, and she does that back on top of him. Like, that's cool. If you're at a floor break stage, this would be a great punish to do that, and then still have a whole combo on the ground. But otherwise, this is just a launcher by itself. You can do forward 2-3. So just like the other ones, because you have enough height, here's forward 2-3, and then the round off, back turn screw attack. But now, since we didn't use a hit in the beginning, right? Since we didn't have room for an extra hit, you can do the back 2-1 into do glide ender in this combo. So watch it in slow motion. We start with forward 2-3, and we did the round out, or the round off, but we have one extra hit. So now we can do heliotrope in the do glide ender instead. 68 damage. Next up is up 3. This weird little flip is not a very good move overall. Honestly, up 3-3 is better because you get right into this extension and the mix-up and stuff. But up 3 by itself can hit people. You're probably never going to do it on purpose, but it does happen. You're going to get the same situation here. Forward 2-3 is a go-to move off of it. Nothing fancy. So there's this one. We just do forward 2-3 and then into Narcissus screw attack. And again, we got a hit left over, so you can use heliotrope to end it into do glide 1-2. And it's just, I don't think they can hit you in between here on block. It's hard to say though, because I never do this on purpose, but it's here. So because this one now, that second hit actually is Narcissus. If the first two connect, they're already in the air, you can go into your do glide stuff right here. So since you're going to go into do glide, you got to press up to cancel. So all I'm doing, I'll show you this part real quick. I'm just pressing up and then 4-1. Press up, then press 4-1. So the first combo you see, we just do that, cancel the do glide, 4-1, the simplest screw attack, and then go into the Narcissus ender, because you have used your airborne hit. You see that the up 3-3 uses one of your hits in the air. So you have to stick to the basic ender, but the combo couldn't be any simpler. The old down 2-2-3 is nice and reliable. This next combo, you guessed it, just takes the other path. Once you've canceled your do glide, you can do forward 2-3, just like you had nothing there. Take some practice again, but once you get used to the cancel, forward 2-3, and then Narcissus screw attack, pretty simple to do for 75 damage. Just depends on which path you're comfortable with. If you like 4-1, down 2-2-3, stick with that on all of these. You could totally do that for almost all of these, and it'll work out just fine. Up 3 floor. She does this huge leap in the air and tries to land on your shoulders. This move is actually pretty good with some huge risk. If you miss entirely, you get boned. If they backdash this, it's Punish City. But like, if you catch it at just a tip, you get that knockdown, and you get it just right, you get a whole combo. And if they block either one of these, you're still safe. So this is actually kind of cool. You could tend to jump right over something and land on their head without them even realizing what happened. The combo path is really, really weird on this one, just because the way that they fall. They're upside down and backwards and high in the air. So there's one quick little mini combo, that, like the first thing that I ever figured out, which is just to do a while standing 2. Because I'm like, what else am I going to hit him with? This is flaky. This doesn't reach. That was hard. I found while standing 2 was actually pretty good. And now since you have the back turn screw attack in 1-4, that's kind of the one that I went to real quick. That's actually pretty easy to do. So the whole thing looks like this. You have time to crouch, and then while standing 2, just remember to hold back. And then 1-4 is your screw attack. And this time you do the Narcissus ender, but you do glide 2-1 instead. Because the angle they are, the 1-2 is going to go over their head. 2-1 will hit them and smack them into the ground. So take a look at it again. It's kind of a weird combo. An instant while standing 2 that you turn backwards by holding back. Screw attack right away. And then you just do Narcissus, but you do a different ender. And you still get 64 damage, which is pretty decent off this save launcher. So the other combo can open with forward 2-3. And since they're super high in the air, you can use round off and then back turn 1-4, right? The end of the combo, however, you know this is doing the exact same thing, the same round off. You cannot use Narcissus at this point. They're going to be too far away and backwards. None of that stuff hits. So you can just do round off 1-4, round off 1-4. And 71 damage is great. The problem is, watch it in slow motion. You can see there's a lot of delay in here. You have to delay that forward 2-3 just right so that they land on your foot and maintain the height necessary for the round offs. And at that point, it's easy. You kind of have to dash up to do the last at the end, but you'll notice that, right? If you're coming up short, short, just dash deeper. You're going to take some practice for all of these combos. You're going to realize that if you just do them straight up, oh, I missed by a mile. Oh, well, I actually have time. I can do a dash and then do it, and you'll see you cover the distance. So that stuff can be a little difficult to practice, but turn on your command notation to make sure you're pressing everything correct, and just analyze what's happening, right? If this move isn't coming out, it's because you're doing it too soon. Or if it comes out but it misses, that means you could do it faster or dash deeper or hit them high or whatever it is. So that was a little bit tricky because you have to delay a little bit to get your angles just right. So the last acrobatic launcher to talk about is the round off flip itself, down forward 3+4. This is a natural hit launcher that covers a ton of range and jumps over lows when it does so. It just doesn't track. But character has a lot of stuff that does that. All of her good moves from way out here don't track, but they have superior range. You've got to live with it. That's kind of the way that it works. So this move is a natural hit launcher, but there's several ways you can combo from it because it leaves Lili automatically back turned. The first one to look at, she just does down 4 while she's back turned, which then turns her around forward, leaves her crouching to do while standing 2. And then from there, the rest of the combo is pretty straightforward. So take a look at it in slow motion. She remains back turned, does a down 4, and then immediately does while standing 2 out of her crouch, and then just a 2 jab, down 2, 2, 3 screw attack, and Narcisse Ascender. It's a pretty simple combo. You just have to figure out how to turn around and then do your while standing 2, which takes the place of down forward 2. The next combo, as soon as the move makes contact, you just tap or hold forward to turn around all on your own, and then you can do the simplest combo we've always been doing, 4-1, down 2, 2, 3. Works great. You just have to turn around in time and then press 4-1 in time. It's really not that bad. You have enough time to see this move make contact, and then, okay, let me hold forward, and then do the move and catch it from there. It's pretty simple to do. And then because you have a hit left over, you can use the heliotrope ender back 2-1 into do glide 1-2. And the last option to cover is Lili does back turn 2 for a screw attack right away. In this case, she dashes up and does up 3-3 flips, cancels into back 2-1, and then a do glide ender. So take a look at it again in slow motion. The move makes contact. Lili does back turn 2, which causes a fast screw attack, and then you dash up to do up 3-3 flips into do glide. You sidestep cancel that, and then back 2-1 into do glide, and do the ender from there. So that's it. There's several different ways to do this combo, and I want to go over them all just because I think it's important to maybe do something a little bit different every time. If you noticed, every single one of those combos was 61 damage. The last one did it in fewer hits, but the damage was the same. So the advantage this gives you is keeping your opponent paying attention, right? If every time they get hit by a combo, they just kind of zone out for a minute until the combo's over and wait till they stand up. You do something like this, and they have to watch what you're doing because they're not quite going to be sure when it's over. They have to process what it is you're doing and therefore wait for it's their turn. They don't want to miss it, right? They don't want to zone out and have you do some crazy new combo. So this is going to keep them focused and make them pay attention, which if nothing else keeps them uncomfortable, right? If your opponent can relax for a second, that's the last thing you want. So having tons and tons of different combo options off of this is pretty cool. These are the 3 that I think are probably the most useful you might ever use. And they still have some good flexibility built into it. You can still change up your wall carry and stuff like that at the end. So it's an interesting launcher all around. It's just not one of her best, but it's kind of cool in my opinion. So next up, let's take a look at the group of screw attack launchers. Moves that when they connect will give you the screw attack right away. So that's obviously going to change your combo path a little bit. You're going to use the same combo tools, you just got to rearrange them because your screw attack is gone. Counter hit, back turn 2 is one of these. Counter hit, down back 3 is one. As well as the counter hit on forward 3, a new addition in season 3. All of these cause a screw attack right away. So this combo does grant us an opportunity for full crouch, down forward 1, which we mentioned earlier is a nice high damage opener. But you can see if you just crouch and do it, you're going to miss. This one kind of requires you to master the fake roll dash technique, as I call it in one of the other videos. You press down, down, forward, and hold it that way. You'll get a half a do glide, and then you'll go into crawl from there. You see how she's kind of taking a step forward? Right? If I just do down, down, forward, and hold it there, she does a half of a do glide and goes into it that way. That's what you have to do for this combo. And then you'll get the one attack from there. You got to get there early enough, though, before they drop. Like that. Can take some practice again, but this is worth having the extra damage. You're going to see 80 damage off these combos when we learn how to do that. So in action, it looks like this. The little half do glide into the down forward 1, and then forward 2-3, punch them in the air. And what do we always do there? We do Narcissus, but this time we cancel that sidestep into a back 1 and end the combo the same way. So basically all we're doing is sticking a back 1 cancel loop in there. It looks like you had Narcissus and then ended with do glide 1-2, but all we did was stick a back 1 loop in the middle. So it's the same principle as it was before. As soon as you do the do glide, you tap up. And as soon as you tap up, you do back 1 like you normally did. You got to learn the window to do that timing. But again, you could cut that out and skip on 5 damage if you want to. Not a big deal. The harder part of that one is the full crouch down forward 1, and that's not even that bad. That's worth getting you the extra damage. And then the forward 2-3 stuff is exactly the same. Narcissus, do glide, done. You just can pad these with a little bit more damage if you can do these back 1 loops. It's up to you. All right, next up. These are stun launchers, moves that let your opponent crumple to the ground. Now, there are 5 basic launchers like this. Forward 2 is one. They're a little different. They're a little tiny different. She goes straight to the ground that way. Counter hit on full crouch down forward 3. They flip over before they crumple to the ground. Counter hit on the second hit of do glide 1-2. They crumple forward onto the ground. Counter hit forward 4. Basically the same one, crumples forward. And counter hit down forward 3. They flip backwards on the way to the ground. All 5 of these launchers can all do this universal-ish combo. I mentioned this in the beginning because the quarter circle 3, this move, you have to do this combo. It's the only one that works. But it also works for these other 4 launchers. So you can kind of stick to this for all 5 if you want to, and then we'll go over the better combos for each of the other 4 launchers after this. So that looks like this. Down 1-2-4 does your screw attack right away, and then since it's early, you can do up 3-3 into your do glide. There's a back 1 loop, and then do glide 1-2 is your ender. So check it out again. Down 1-2-4 picks it up, and it does your screw attack right away in a decent number of hits. You dash up 3-3, and then you got to learn that cancel window right into back 1, and then back 1, do glide 1-2. So those are that combo is universal to all 5 of these crumple launchers. However, most of them can do a little bit better than that, except for this one. This one cannot. So the 2 that can do next better are forward 2 and counter hit down forward 3. They can both take advantage of these 2 combos. The first one, simple as can be. 4-1, down 2-2-3, ender. There's nothing else in front of them because 4-1 is the only good hit box to pick up here. You can't do it down forward 2. You can't do forward 2-3 and stuff. They don't work here. 4-1 is reliable, so you stick to the easy combo, heliotrope ender. The next combo is now possible because down forward 1 was changed in this current patch. They extended the hitbox forward and down the way this needed to be, so now this picks up off of these stuns and it did not used to before. This move has a much lower hitbox, thank the gods. So not only does it work against like low profiling opponents in a match, it can actually work in combo situations like this, which it did not do before. So since you can do that, you now have them high enough in the air that you can do forward 2-3, and then the same Narcissus screw attack, Narcissus ender, just like that. So those 2 get a little bit more damage by being able to pick up from that particular stun. The counter hit from do glide 1-2, they crumple forward, and the counter hit forward 4. These do even better than that. The first one has a little bit of style involved in it. We're going to do something a little bit nutty that still does nice damage and looks awesome. Once you hit them, you backdash, and then you can do the round off and back turn 2. Get your screw attack done right away, and then since you have space, you can do the up 3-3 flips into do glides, and you're going to cancel for a back 2-1 ender. And again, you could adjust this if you want to. The backdash part is kind of tricky, but it's not that bad. Screw attack is easy. You should be used to up 3-3 stuff. And if you don't want to cancel, you can go right into to crouch dash 1-2 and just be done. No problems there. The second combo, honestly, is easier. It's just not as flashy. You're going to do an instant while standing 2, and then the same 4-1, down 2-3-3. Exactly the same combo we've been doing. No issues there. The instant while standing 2 needs to cover the ground. So you do that down forward technique I talked about. So you cover the space between them, and then while standing 2, simple as can be once you got that. The third combo starts with the same instant while standing 2, and then forward 2-3 to punt him in the air. You don't have enough height for the round off, so what do? Instead, you do Narcissus into screw attack and the Narcissus ender. Thinking you're seeing a pattern here, right? That's pretty handy. Forward 2-3, Narcissus screw attack, Narcissus ender. That's what you want almost every time you can. Just depends on how you get him in the air first, which angles are correct and all that stuff. So those two combos have a little bit more damage than the norm. Let's revisit counter hit down forward 3. This one, where they flip backwards, you can actually do forward 2-3 right away. Instead of having to pick them up with a different hit, you can do forward 2-3, which kind of streamlines your combo a little bit. The first one we're going to see here goes right into Narcissus screw attack, and since you have an extra hit, Heliotrope ender instead, back 2-1. 75 damage, no problem. The second combo here is a slightly different variation that we haven't seen too much yet. You do the forward 2-3, and then just do down 2-2-3. We don't see those paired together too often, but it actually works really well here. And since you're saving a hit, you can do the Heliotrope ender again and get 3 more damage out of it. This was actually kind of hard. The recovery off of this particular angle is a little bit tough to squeeze in. I would not think less of you if you decided to switch to the Narcissus ender here. No problems with it. 75 damage instead of 78 or whatever is totally good. So counter hit down forward 3 actually ends up being one of the best out of these crumple stuns, just because forward 2-3 enters the table all by itself. So just the last couple combos to mention here from miscellaneous launches that are hard to categorize otherwise. Back turn 1+2. This is a really good move all around. It just comes with kind of a crappy combo, so to speak. It's safe on block for the most part. It's quick, but the only way to pick this up in a combo is duck jab. Not down 1. Down 1 will not work here. So that's all you can do here. Since you're in a duck jab and you're crouching while standing 2, kind of fits the bill, right? That's just like any other combos we've seen. So once you do the back turn 1+2 duck jab while standing 2, and then you can do the path that we're used to, which looks like this. While standing 2 in the air, and just a 2 jab, since we already used up one of those hits, down 2-2-3, Heliotrope ender. So you kind of might have to get used to a little bit of timing to just hold down back 1 or hold down back and mash 1. But once you get that, it's super easy to do. So you just see the pop just while standing 2, and the rest of it is easy as pie. The pickup is the only hard part here. Next up is counter hit down back 3+4. This is a weird one because they flop right to the ground, upside down, face first and everything. So there are a couple of unorthodox combos that still get you pretty decent damage. The first one is while standing 2. Actually, they're both while standing 2, excuse me. That's the only thing they can really pick up right there. And you can see that picks them up upside down and face first. So you got a couple options here. We saw the same sort of thing with the up 3+4. Because they were backwards, not everything would reach correctly. So you got to make up your mind what you want here. This first combo just does the while standing 2 for pickup, and then 2-4 for immediate screw attack. And then it does Narcissus ender and flips the order. Instead of here, we do glide 2-1. Just like we saw before because they're backwards. So when the juggle is backwards, end it with do glide 2-1 instead because of those angles. 60 damage isn't too bad. That's pretty simple off an easy drop-proof combo. Turns out you can actually get a little bit more by doing more of the full combo, so to speak, from it. That looks like this. Do the same while standing 2, then a 2 jab, and down 2-2-3, right? We've seen that a million times, and it works in the back. The only difference is the ender. You can see they do round off into the back turned, which is normally your screw attack, works pretty good as a combo ender here too. So in slow motion, the combo looks the same. While standing 2, the screw attack and all that is the same as just in the back. You got to do a nice little deep dash here, and then do down forward 3+4. And the back turn 1-4 is pretty much all it's going to hit and does nice damage anyway. So 67 is a much better result. Next up is a weird one, very weird one. It's counter hit, sidestep 1+2. You'll notice in many times that when this move hits them too far to the side, you don't even get your counter hit. Like, look at that. I'm standing right in front of her, counter hit charged. I take a nice big step and I hit her. I don't get my counter hit because it's not in the front. The hit detection is really weird for a lot of that stuff. They went through and patched a lot of it in Season 3. They did not patch it all. So, because of that, you have to only hit them from very specific angles, which are like kind of in the front. And look where she lands. Sideways, crumpled over. This is a weird one. So this first path I want to show you might seem like it's the crazy one, but I actually think it's the safest. And it's very reminiscent of the style point combo we saw before. So once you hit with the crumple stun, you backdash and do down forward 3+4. And then do your screw attack here. and do the same flipped over backwards do glide 2-1 ender, right? We saw that combo. That was the exact same thing. The only difference is having to do the backdash for the round off to adjust your distance. If you do it too close, you'll flip on the wrong side of them. You won't get the combo, and you'll just end up not knowing who's on what side. The other combo is a lot more unreliable, in my opinion, even though it might be a simpler combo. As you can see, it's just immediately going into down 1-2-4 for your screw attack, and then the regular Narcissus 1-2 ender. Looks fine, but that timing and that angle is really, really specific. If it's a little bit off to one side or the other, the do glide 1-2 is going to miss them entirely. So I think the backdash and then do the round off is a much more reliable path. They're both the exact same damage. So in my opinion, I think you should stick with the first one. But to play around with stuff, the second option is there to be a little bit more what you're used to, especially if you want to approach the wall. You can cancel that last hit and stuff like that. It's up to you. Last miscellaneous combo to talk about is a brand new one. Forward 3 is now a natural launcher again. This move is -12 on block this time around, so if you just do it and stop, you can get punished right there. Not to mention if you hold forward and continue into do glide, even if they block this, they're still going to try to punish you, because when you transition to do glide, you're still like -3 here, I think. Their jab or their magic 4 is still going to hit you, right? You're not making yourself safe by going to do glide, but if you go into do glide and then sidestep, you stand a much better chance. So if they're blocking your attack and you sidestep out, you're good. So theoretically, this move forward 3 can be safe if you just always go into do glide and sidestep out. That'll work pretty well. So you got to deal with both of them. The first two combos are not going into do glide. They're just doing the move by itself on normal hit. So the first one here, you can see, takes advantage of the new down forward 1 hitbox, scoops them up, and the rest is as bread and butter as can be. 4-1, down 2-2-3, and the basic Narcissus ender. So watch it again. Down forward 1 doesn't seem like it should work if you've ever played Lili before, but it totally works now. It's actually really easy to do. You kind of just have to get used to waiting longer. This down forward 1 picks up really low to the ground. So if you can hesitate, and you'll still be okay, because of the rest of the combo, it's super duper easy. The next one starts with forward 2-3, which was one of the higher end paths when it came to all the crumple stun launchers, and you can see the same result here. Forward 2-3, Narcissus screw attack, and if you want to chance it, you can do the heliotrope ender for some extra damage. So that bumps you up to 63, which is pretty good. The only problem is, again, you have to just do this move and then stop. Forward 3 and stop in order to access this path. So what if you want to do the opposite then? What if you're committed to doing this into do glide and then sidestep cancel to stay safe every time, right? How do you get your combo? Well, the first thing that comes to mind would just be the screw attack we've been doing all day, right? Just do that shit. Well, that doesn't work half the time. It honestly just doesn't. I can't figure out the trick to it. Do it early, do it late. It just misses sometimes. I try to do it as far away as I could. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's really, really erratic. And I don't know if I want them to change that. I do not know if I want them to screw with the hitboxes on this at all. Hard to say. Needless to say, that's weird how that just doesn't work a lot of times. Because they're highs, they're just missing. So I guess I wouldn't mind if they lowered that hitbox a tiny bit so this works, but you don't need it. You really don't need it. Because what else have we learned about do glides in combos? Yeah, cancel them into sidesteps. Cancel them into sidesteps. So, rewind all the way back to the top. What was the best damaging B&B combo we had so far off of hop kick, right? We started with the down forward 2, then the forward 2-3. That was good damage. And then from there, we do the round off. You can still do that here. You can do the exact same max damage B&B hop kick combo. You can do that right here. But you have to do the do glide cancel first. You see what I'm doing? Did it even look like I did anything there? I want to turn on the command history just so you can see it actually happening. It's so fast, but it does exist. See, there's a simple do glide, right? I'm holding forward afterwards. No problems. That's all it looks like. I did forward 3, and I held forward for that 1 frame. And then I tapped up, just a single up tap, cancels the do glide into a sidestep, and the instant I sidestep, I can just do down forward 2. So as soon as you sidestep, you can do down forward 2. Sidestep down forward 2. That's all I'm doing here. Doesn't even look like I'm doing anything. And the problem, the reason it works is I don't actually need the sidestep. I'm not actually counting on the sidestep here. I don't give a shit if I sidestep or not. The only reason I'm doing the sidestep is to cancel the do glide. So slower, it looks like do glide, up, and then down forward 2. Do glide, up, down forward 2, right? Look at this in slower action. Do glide, up, down forward 2. Look at it fast. Same thing. You got to get used to that muscle memory and your do glide cancels. They're going to be important. So once you've gotten used to being able to do any of that stuff, you could do this too, right? There's a ton of options there. But since we learned that you could just do a single do glide cancel and do the max damage B&B combo that we started with, do that one. And the whole thing looks like this. Down forward 2, punt him in the air, round off, screw attack, Narcissus Ender, 66 damage. Perfect. Couldn't ask for anything more than that. So you could play around with other things, other the different cancel paths and stuff like that if you wanted to. But I like that one, right? That's the combo we've been doing the whole time. I'm good with that. And the last category of combos is Rage Drive. Since Lili's Rage Drive can start a combo as well as ending one, she has a couple unique options there. Ending the combo is not great, because if you've already done a 6, 7, 8 hit combo, whatever, and then you do this afterward, she's going to kick them so far away there's nothing else you can do. If you're near-ish the wall, and you're doing your whole combo, and you still have rage, and the wall is almost there, then you could do that, and then run up, whatever, but your scaling at that point is high, and you're kind of wasting the potential of rage. These combos, you're going to see them, are going to average about 20 points damage more than any other basic combo, which is pretty good in that case. You hit him with this guy first, you take a nice chunk of damage, you still have the whole combo in addition to that, because this preserves screw attack. It looks like they're doing it right there. They're spinning blue spark screw attack. You actually get another one. So you get a whole combo from the starting Rage Drive. They can be a little bit different, but for the most part, you can kind of do the stuff that you would normally expect. So the first combo, you do a little bit of a dash up and the up 3-3. Remember, up 3-3 only worked on the super high launchers. So you can do that here since you have time. And then your do glide canceling into back 2-1 for your screw attack, and then Narcissus Ender. So look at it again, up 3-3 into do glide, canceled into Heliotrope to do your screw attack. You could swap these out in a lot of places, right? If you just did a back 1 there instead, you could do back 2-1 post screw attack. Those are very interchangeable, to be honest. Once you've learned how, for the most part, they can fit in either place, depending on how many hits you've got. So the middle combo uses forward 3 to do another screw attack right away. And then from there, do the exact same thing you just did above for the most part and cut out one of the cancels. Just do up 3-3. Do that one single cancel and then end it. You basically missed the part with the screw attack in it because you traded that for forward 3. Forward 3 does a nice grip of damage early in the combo. It's just really hard to apply that anywhere else. The rest of it is the same thing. Up 3-3, one do glide cancel loop into the do glide ender. That's it. And the last combo we're going to take a look at is the other sort of max damage that we saw before. Only a couple of launchers gave you the potential to do the full crouch down forward 1, and they were worth it. This is another one. Once you've learned the technique to do the crawl along the ground version of it, the fake do glide, this does a nice chunk of damage. That combo looks like this. Full crouch down forward 1, same forward 2-3 that we did before. Narcissus into screw attack, and Narcissus into ender. Just like that, 86 damage. Now, you could probably squeeze more by getting an extra back 1 cancel loop in there or whatever, and you could probably do that to most of these combos. Once you learn how to do that stuff, it gets a little bit more common, but there are limits, right? You can only get 1 or 2 hits at the most before your juggle scaling is just simply too high. There'd be nothing else you could do. So for the most part, I feel like you should be pretty comfortable with most of the things I showed here. It's one cancel for the most part. Just do one of these things, and then learn how to do any kind of cancel. So the last aspect of combos to talk about is when you are at the wall. You can do the most damage to them since they can't go anywhere. They're stuck getting punched by you until they fall down on the ground. So getting to the wall is the goal of a lot of other combos. More often than not, when you're juggling your opponent in the air, you'll see that you're going to get pretty close, and a lot of times you can just change up your last hit and kick them a little bit further and get to the wall, run up, and continue the combo there. So that's really the goal when possible, if you can do that. Lili has a couple of interesting twists to her wall game. The first one that's worth mentioning, because it predicates everything else, is her best wall combo is back turn 4, 3+4. This double flip sequence is actually the best combo she has. This does the most damage, it'll break the floor when possible, and it leaves Lili back turned, which is a pretty good Oki situation as well. She has things like this safe mid move that'll re-wall splash, she has low pokes. It's a very, very good move overall. So when you can get that in a wall combo, that's what you want. So with that in mind, let's back up a second and talk about carrying to the wall. Because it is possible for Lili to carry someone to the wall and get back turn and set up for that, but it's kind of hard. The first wall carry that I want to talk about is much simpler. You could do something like back 1-4. That works really well because this has a nice high arc to it. The back 1-4 punts them way in the air and you get excellent wall carry. You're not going to beat that in most general situations. That works pretty well. You could also do things like run up and back 1 and then try like do glide stuff. Depends on your distance. Once you have a good nose for your wall distance, you could switch it up there. But back 1-4 is a general really good wall carry. The other thing you want to look at would be how to set up for the good combo. See, I almost made that one. So the goal there is that Lili hits them with the back turn or with the while standing 2 far enough that they splat to the wall. At the same time, she turns around and can start doing this attack. But you can see at this particular distance, it doesn't quite reach, but a little bit closer and the result should change. It's also hard to time in general, right? If you don't get it exactly right, it's not super easy. But you see the idea there is hit them with the while standing 2 and go back turn all at once. Then hit him with that huge combo at the end. It should look like that, do a ton of damage. This is what you want when you can get it, but it is kind of hard. Next up, however, is kind of a slightly different way to get to that, and that's just doing your round off. That can also work too, and be a little bit safer, because if you just miss that, there's no big deal. You don't have to jump right into it. You could stay back turned and not go any further. So you could use this round off and hope that gets the distance and you land just right in this combo, and if not, no big deal. So that's kind of like a compromise version. If you're not sure of yourself or you don't know the distance, you could just end your combo in a round off flip. And if you get there, perfect. And if you don't, just go for another flip or something like that to land on top of them. So those are your 3 main wall carries. Back 1-4 in general works really, really well. But if you can time it just right, that you could do instant while standing 2s at the end of your combo and go back turned, that's a really good setup that's worth having. So let's take a look at wall bounces. If your opponent isn't quite in the middle of a juggle yet, but you're in this magic distance to think about the wall is nearby, wall bounces work really good. So once they bounce off the wall, forward 2-3 is pretty go-to when it comes to that. Nice damage, high traveling arc. You shouldn't have any real trouble there. It's also worth noting that if you can get them just right, you can squeeze an extra forward 3 in there like that and still get your whole combo. You have to get them at just the peak, the max height that you can for that to work out, but it is possible. Just the right distance, forward 2-3 kicks them back to the wall, and it is possible to squeeze in a forward 3 before they get low enough and still get your whole combo, but it's not always guaranteed. Again, you need a nose for that distance to sense whether or not it's going to work. Otherwise, if you're close to the wall and you do land a wall bounce move, there's 2 basic things to do here. One of them is just a 4 attack, stick him right back to the wall, and then go for your normal combo as it is. Pretty simple. Just a basic 4, and then doink, right on the wall. Foolproof. However, you do have a chance to go for your big back turn combo. So all you do is delay a little bit, and then do down forward 2 and turn backwards. Because down forward 2 and while standing 2 are basically the same thing. It is worth noting, out in the open, you could run up and do down forward 2. It's just not usually as easy. That do glide technique really helps a lot. So if you do get a wall bounce, delay it a little bit, down forward 2 and hold back. So once they stick to the wall, you can then get the nice combo that you wanted. Just 4, 3+4, the whole thing from there. So that's absolutely ideal if you're close, on axis, right? If you're off axis a little bit, sometimes this doesn't work out as well. But you could do other things like combo them in the opposite direction. So you kind of have to be aware of that too. Usually if you're in a decent angle and you get your wall bounce, that works pretty well, right? So that's pretty much all you need to worry about. Wall bounces, forward 2-3 when you're far away. And if you're up close, go for this little down forward 2 pickup into your backwards wall combo. So the last step is what if you're already at the wall, and then how do you stick them to the wall straight up? You do not need a whole combo to get them to the wall. You can stick them to the wall right away with a litany of attacks. This whole list is in the Google Doc in the description down below. It indicates what moves are highs, what are mids, which ones are safe, and all of that. I'm not going to go over them all. You don't really need most of them. But for the most part, I want to talk about forward 2-3 because it's a good punisher. If they wake up with like a mid kick or whatever, you punish with that, sticks them to the wall. Punish at anything, right? This is the same thing. 1+2 works well here as well. One of my favorites, however, it's the only place I ever really use this move, is forward 3. It's got terrible range. Out in the open, it whiffs constantly, but here at the wall, it works just fine. Forward 3 is a safe mid and is homing, so if they try stepping, this will catch them as well, and you get your combo that way. So forward 3 is actually pretty go-to when you're at the wall. My other favorites, as mentioned repeatedly in the main Lili guide, are quarter circle forward 2-1 for how good it is to be safe and hit confirmable. Well, definitely hit confirmable. This isn't technically safe, but whatever. And then quarter circle 3+4, because that's plus on block if they fail to duck it. Those are all really good to wall splat. So those are my favorites. You can check the list. There's all kind of stuff out there that you might not have thought about that actually does work. If you want to go and study some extra ones just to have them in your pocket, go right ahead. So one thing that's worth noting is this. If this were a breakable wall and you did one of these moves, the wall would break, right? Asuka would fall down the same way, but the wall would be broken and you combo behind it. When opponents are high, stuck to the wall like that, the rules change a little bit. Most of these moves will continue to break the wall. 1+2 would then break that wall versus the airborne opponent. However, forward 2-3 would not. These are also indicated in that list, so just be warned if you do combo the opponent to a breakable wall and they stick high up to the wall, forward 2-3 is not going to work there. You got to think of something else. But there are plenty of other things that will work. You know, go for that one because that works on everything. So when it comes to wall splats, I'm really just going to demonstrate with forward 2-3 because forward 3 can actually hit you offside a lot. You see how those little changes my angle a little bit every time I kick her? She lands next to me. I think forward 2-3 is much easier to demonstrate this. So I want to show you the wall splats with forward 2-3 just for consistency's sake. Now, as we talked about, the best one you want to go to is for 3+4 from back turned. If you find a situation to do that, that's exactly the one that you want, but you do have to require that setup. You got to find a way to get back turned to do so. So you can't just do forward 2-3, turn around, and then do that. Doesn't work. You need a particular setup. So without going into that setup first, let's just talk about the basic ones. Forward 2-3 to wall splat, and then what you can do from there. The next best one is while standing 1-2, 1+2. That works really well all the time. You can see on the left where it says damage 50%. 50% is a good indicator. There's a thing in this game where once your opponent like touches the ground, the damage scaling resets, but they still can't escape. It's still a guaranteed combo, however it does more damage. Anytime you see that, that's the goal here. A lot of characters have combos with a pattern like 1-2 shoulder, and the goal is that shoulder hits them right as they slump to the ground, and you just get more damage because of the way the game calculates. Let's leave it at that. So while standing 1-2, 1+2 works really well for this. One of my previous favorites was back 2-1 and then delay the ender to do the same thing. It's actually kind of hard. You see how in this case it says 32% scaling? That's normal. That's how damage normally scales. But if you get it just right and delay it so that they touch the ground at the right moment, the scaling actually goes up and you do get more damage. So that was one of my favorites too once you learn how to delay that, but I found it's really, really inconsistent. It's actually in the most recent patch notes that this is going to stop changing sides. A lot of times when you would do this, you would end up behind them or beside them. Really weird wall stuff. That has been addressed in the last patch, but it's still not perfect. So I kind of stopped going for back 2-1 at wall combos, just wasn't worth it. 90% of the time, this while standing 1-2, 1+2, that works great. If you're not comfortable with instant while standing in situations like that, you can just do all 4-1 and then 1+2 from there. That does the exact same effect. A little bit less damage, much easier to do. There's no problem in just switching to that for your go-to. The other thing that's worth mentioning here is Lili has a throw. You can just press throw and get all this little bit. It doesn't do as much damage, but it's kind of cool. If you're, about to finish a match and you don't need more damage, that's kind of a cool way to do it. She has a wall throw for whatever reason. It works pretty well. And the other things you want to consider as wall combos is how to flip them over. It's very much to your advantage to be able to get the opponent in that flip over head first Oki situation. Lili's best way to do that is 3-2 and then hold forward into do glide and then do while standing 3. If you just let go of forward at that point, you're going to get while standing moves. So it's just 3-2, hold forward while standing 3. It doesn't show up as a combo, but it is. There's no way they can get out of that. They hit the ground, and they're still not far enough away. The while standing 3 hits them grounded. So that is guaranteed. And it causes them to flip over, which is a different tech roll situation. You have to tech roll that back and not to the side. So it's worth noting that's one of the cool ways to do that. The next best way to do it is quarter circle 2-1. Do glide 2-1 does the same thing. That hard spike into the ground, head first, flip over. I like this one a lot because you can get this in combos pretty easily. If you're ending your normal combo with the Narcissus into 1-2, and you see the combos getting close, you could do Narcissus 2-1 and get that flip over knockdown instead. It's not as much damage, but it can be more. The reason why is if they fail to tech this correctly, sidestep 3 is a guaranteed hit. If they don't tech roll this, and you can just do sidestep 3, it hits them for free no matter what. Even if they do tech roll correctly, sidestep 3 was safe on block, so you risked almost nothing to go for that. So that's a very nice situation to have, is that particular knockdown and the possible Oki situation afterwards. So if you know they're going to stand up and block instead, you could do whatever you want to them. You could hit them with lows for free all day when you know they're going to stand, right? If they're going to start to respect lows and start ducking, then you're going to get more and more and more, right? That's just the name of the game. So quarter circle 2-1 is really good because you get that nice flip over with guaranteed damage if they don't tech it right. And the other thing to mention in general would be down forward 3+4, 3+4. If you happen to be nowhere near them, you can use this like that. Does almost no damage despite how much it looks like that would hurt. But if you happen to be way downtown, you can kind of just go for that. Breaks the floor, gets you the back turn Oki and all that stuff. It's just a weaker version of this. It doesn't require really any setup. Because you can do this facing forward and get that same situation. So that's kind of like the poor man's version of the max combo. Just do the round off and the follow up that way. So those are your wall enders. That's actually kind of a lot, right? There's several in there to go for. There's the basic while standing 1-2 into the palm strike. There's a poor man's version of that. There's a couple ways to flip them over using your do glide stuff. And then there's the crown jewel, the back turn, double flip kick. And there's a poor man's version of that too. So once you're used to where you are, what you need at the time, and you have these ready to go, you should be just fine. Get the max damage, get your floor break, get whatever it is you need from there. And speaking of floor breaks, this is a specific set of moves that will cause the floor break while other ones don't. These are also listed in the Google Doc in the description down below. But for the most part, whenever you have a floor break situation, obviously the back turn combo, as we mentioned, that does it. That's your max damage combo and your floor break. You want to go for that if you can. And if you can't, as we mentioned, the poor man's version, which is just down forward, 3+4, 3+4, that works too. That's actually pretty decent. There's a couple other ways. Your flip over, quarter circle 2-1. That'll do the same thing. If you're used to that, you want to go for this all the time, every time you're used to that, that'll get you a free floor break, even if you don't think about it. Like, all right, I'm going to just go for this Oki situation because I really like it. Oh yeah, floor break. I didn't even think about that. So that's a good one to have it too. The rest of them are just minimal, right? It's not even worth talking about. You could do Root of Evil, but that's just such little damage compared to the other ones, but it's in the list. So I think that's pretty much the gist of wall combos. The only other element that's there, which isn't necessarily combo related, is what to do afterward. When you do get the flip over knockdown, when you do get into tech roll, whatever you follow up with. And that just goes deeper into playstyle and mentality more than anything. But needless to say, forward 3 is excellent here. It's the only place it is excellent because it has no range. At the wall, this is a safe mid homing move. And if they get up and block, right? If they get up and block this forward 3, They actually made it in this patch, so this move is only -3 on block herself. So Lili can do this and sidestep very easily if they want to try to retaliate. So forward 3 actually got even better as a wall carry. Other than that, like a safe mid that'll resplat them, what more do you want? All you need is a low to threaten them. You just need lows to make them respect it. You go for a big low like that if you want to. You can do Root of Evil. If you get the button happy opponent, you do Root of Evil, and you get that counter hit, you get a free wall splat from it too. So this is a counter hitting low that can wall splat them in addition to your mid. So that's kind of all you need for the most part. The rest of it is just about the mind games between you and your opponent. So wall combos that give you good Oki are also excellent. Forward 3 covers a ton of those bases, and then a spattering of lows backs all that up. So I think that's it. I think that's every element of combos I could think of. We talked about just little mini follow-ups. We talked about moves that launch, moves that get you full combos on counter hit. We talked about the tools, more importantly, what goes into combos and which ones you can do and how they work. So at that point, we went over every specific launcher type and the combos you get from it, with the understanding that you can build combos in different ways once you understand how those tools work. And then we looked at wall carry situations. How do you get to the wall? What do you do when you're there? How do you maximize that damage? And how do you maximize what comes next? So I hope that helped out. Some of these are very different. If you've been playing Lili the entire lifetime of Tekken 7 and even previous games, it feels like every 6 months her combos change. They add one little thing that actually gets her a slightly different combo path. So at this point in time, these are pretty damn good combos, and the ones you used to know would still work, but you might be surprised at how much more you can get. Like, oh, I didn't know she could do that, and that's 3 more damage you can add to your arsenal. And with that, hopefully I'll see you also in the main Lili guide, because there's going to be tons of information there you may or may not have known. And if not, there'll be plenty of videos down the road, so click that subscribe button, the little notification bell guy right next to it, and I will see you in one of those. Later.